Mr. Donald Brown, Associate Vice President of Program Management Department of the International Fund for Agriculture Development, Honorable Minister for Agriculture, Ratimi Rayalu, Honorable Assistant Ministers, Ms. Rehana Raza, Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific Division, and Mr. Chandra Semto, Country Director of the IFAD in Fiji, friends, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me welcome you all, and also on behalf of the Government of Fiji and on behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister, I would like to begin by thanking IFAD for all the support so far to Fiji and to the agriculture sector, and also for making the decision to open the Pacific office in Fiji. The Honorable Prime Minister himself is a great believer in diversification of our economy, and he himself has, over the last 5 months, provided a very strong leadership in terms of advocating diversification and the development of our agriculture sector and the rural economy. I know for more than 4 decades, IFAD has been financing initiatives in the Pacific, small island development states, assisting communities in promoting resilience and improving livelihoods and food security. IFAD's total investment in the Pacific amounts to US $417.7 million, of which IFAD's program of loans and grants is of US $130.5 million, and domestic and international co-financing leveraged equals US $287.2 million, 33% of which is domestically financed. I also know that IFAD's engagement in the Pacific has expanded with this program of loans and grants and grew from US $24 million in IFAD 8, 2010 to 2012, and to US $40 million in IFAD 12, 22 to 2024. In addition, IFAD Small Island Development States Engagement Strategy 2022 to 27 was developed to reflect the fund's expanded investment and focus on small island development states, as well as its ambition to accelerate an inclusive and sustainable rural transformation across Pacific Island countries. An additional US $56 million is currently planned in the investment pipeline. This, of course, suggests that IFAD is also one of the largest drivers in mobilizing additional finance from development partners worldwide, and we obviously encourage that partnership. More specifically, for every US $1 invested by IFAD, it has leveraged more than $2 US in additional development partner investment. Convergence between IFAD's and Pacific's priorities, primarily climate and nutrition. Again, I see the commitment to investing 40% of its program of loans and grants to climate adaptation and environment-focused activities. Of course, in Fiji and throughout the Pacific, we are actively advocating more emphasis on adaptation and leveraging climate financing for adaptation in addition to what we do for climate mitigation. I also know that IFAD's focus on small island states and fragile countries is of particular interest, and I know that you prioritize these activities in these countries, which are generally exposed to high risks from climate change impacts. This is part of the world where we hope and pray for almost 6 months or sometimes more that we don't get hit by some very strong and disastrous climate events which can have disastrous impact on our economy and destroy livelihoods and food security for our people. I know the Pacific Office will serve upwards 13 member states in the Pacific: Cook Islands, Federated States of Micronesia, Fiji, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Nauru, Niue, Palau, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu. And of course, PNG is managed from the IFAD office in Jakarta. We are, as a country, in the post-COVID world, as do many other countries around the world, but more specifically for us in the Pacific, post-COVID environment is quite challenging. Some of it needs immediate attention and remedial measures. Some of the key areas that the various stakeholders in the recently held National Economic Summit was highlighted very, very clearly, and I want to again, highlight some of those. These include ensuring a sustainable and inclusive economic growth, prudent fiscal management, addressing the rising cost of living, addressing the challenge of losing a lot of skilled labor, as internationally there's been a lot of restructuring and changes within the labor market and demand for labor resulting from large pent-up demand in terms of the holding back on infrastructure and other developments during COVID and after COVID. Addressing the decaying critical infrastructure, ensuring good governance and rule of law, investment towards human development, development of land and marine-based economic activities, empowerment of Fiji's indigenous population, and ensuring management of public dialogue towards policy making at the national level. We have been in government for the last 5 months, and we can already see the level of confidence, a sense of freedom, a little bit of exuberance within our international partners, our international organizations, multilateral agencies, and the desire on the part of the government to forge strong partnerships, cooperation, not just within the country, regionally and internationally. We believe that there is a need to mobilize climate financing with particular attention to the needs and the vulnerabilities of small island developing countries in the Pacific and those in other regions. As a country, we strongly advocate, as I said before, the need for additional financing for adaptation. We know that the current commitment by our developed partners, international organizations, with respect to climate financing and the mix between adaptation and mitigation does not address the most serious and fundamental problem of adaptation in vulnerable economies such as those in the Pacific. And so we call for a better mix, and we believe that the momentum for that understanding within international organizations amongst our development partners is increasingly gaining attention, and we hope that we would be able to work with partners like the International Fund for Agriculture, IFAD, and others to ensure that we develop our economies in a sustainable manner. So I want to take this opportunity to thank IFAD and for your contribution and support towards Pacific and Fiji, and congratulate you on opening this new office for the Pacific in Fiji. Thank you. Vinagavakalevu. Dhanyawad.